Hello everyone, my name is Sue Robertson and I am the Knowledge Services Development Lead working across Health Education England in the South. I'm also part of the HEE team that has worked on our new NHS Library and Knowledge Services Quality and Improvement Outcomes Framework. And this recording today is going to support Outcome 3. For the second of our webinars to support Outcome 3, I'm talking to Morag today. I've asked Morag to share a practical example of a service improvement in her role in Dorchester. But before we hear more about this quality improvement, I'm going to introduce Morag and ask her to say a little bit about yourself. So, welcome Morag. Please tell us, what do you do and where do you work?
Okay, I'm a librarian at Dorset County Hospital. I've been here 7 years. I started as a library assistant in November 7 years ago. I loved the work so much. I wanted to learn a bit more about it, and I did a diploma in Information and Library Studies, distance learning at Aberystwyth University. Successfully completed the diploma and then applied for the role of librarian that came up at Dorset County Hospital, and I absolutely love it. I love the work. It's very varied, and I've just recently become chartered.
Yay! It's an opportunity for a small round of applause, but as there's only two of us, it'll have to be a cheer. And could you just tell us a little bit about the trust you work in?
Yes, so we've got about 3,000 members of staff. So we're quite a small library. There's just 4 of us. So we've got 2 library assistants, myself and the library manager. We provide a library service that's quite comprehensive. So we offer training in various aspects of study skills, literature searching, critical appraisal, referencing, and so on. And then we also do quite a lot of outreach work as well. Yeah, I think that's probably all I can think of at the moment.
Perfect. So it sounds as if you're fairly busy in all that you do.
Yes.
So, in your day-to-day work, you identified an opportunity to raise awareness of health literacy across the trust. So can you just tell me a little bit, how did this idea come about and what did you do?
Well, obviously, as we all know, health literacy is an issue that is affects the nation, affects the NHS. And we all know the figures that 43% of adults in England do not have adequate literacy skills to be able to read, use and understand health information, and this rises to 61% when numeracy skills are involved. And this has costs not just to the individual but obviously to the NHS. Also the Adult Inpatient Survey in June 2019 showed that significant numbers of patients were unsure about their situation, and this is also related to health literacy. So HE obviously recognises that there is a role for library staff to be involved in the training of NHS staff in health literacy awareness, and they, as you know, offered training or train the trainer courses at the beginning of this year, which I attended, really enjoyed, and that gave me the skills to be able to train others in health literacy awareness. But when I got back to the trust and was thinking about how I could sort of use that knowledge and that understanding and those skills, I realised that it was such a huge thing. I wouldn't be able to do it on my own, and realised very quickly that I'd have to get together a team of people to perhaps be trained and help me deliver the training that I had been given. So it was a moment of reflection and evaluation of the training that I had received. And I submitted an idea for health literacy champions, partly as a result of the work I do with dementia champions in the Trust. I'm a dementia champion, and I attended meetings, and I sort of thought, well, if we can have dementia champions, then surely health literacy is also a much needed skill, and suggested to our transformation team that I embark on this process of recruiting health literacy champions. So that's how it started, in a very long-winded way.
No, I think that describes it perfectly. So linking in with HEE priorities and that shocking statistic, which I'll show in a minute, or a couple of statistics, but also the feedback that had happened in your trust.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay. So as I show that statistic and people start to absorb and think about that a little more, tell me what you did to make your change idea happen. You described approaching your transformation team. Who else did you approach?
The communications team as well. So the comms team, transformation team, obviously my manager, and I asked for an advert to be put out in the comms e-bulletin that comes out once a week, to ask for health literacy champions. So the idea was to make people aware of those shocking statistics, really, and that it's a problem that affects us all, and it's not just something that's going to go away with time. It's something that we actually have to address, and I put it, like this, really. That I asked a few questions. Do you speak to patients about their health? Do you give information to patients? And that affects probably most of the trust, really. And then ask them if you are interested in improving your communication skills and your awareness of health literacy, why not become a health literacy champion? So that's where it originated, and how the wording was put together. And then I put together a leaflet showing them what they would get out of it, what health literacy champions would be expected to do, the support they can expect to receive from the library, and obviously health literacy awareness is good for all of us, really. So I submitted a PDSA form to the transformation team, just outlining what the problems I was trying to solve, planning how I was going to make the change happen, and they sort of said, we're willing to support you, go on ahead, and we'll support you where we can. That's where it is at the moment. So it's not, I haven't been able to see the improvement yet, and to be honest, that's going to be the most difficult part, is measuring and evaluating the impact and the improvement that training people in health literacy, and then having that effect on the patients that they give information to. That's going to be the tricky part. So the cycle isn't complete at all, but we're in the process of improving that area.
Thank you. So I just want to pick up on a couple of things there. So you use the PDSA, the Plan, Do, Study, Act template.
Yes.
And I appreciate your partway through that, so you're still
Yes.
in the plan and do. You know, maybe the S and the A, the study and the act, is going to take a little more time. But if I was going to ask you to gaze into your crystal ball and make some predictions, what do you think you can measure? I know that it's to get the full impact of what you're doing, it maps through to the patients themselves. But I just wonder if you thought about any feedback that you could get from the clinical people in your trust who are doing this, or other methods?
Yes, I think probably any evidence that we collect will probably be in the form of stories and feedback and anecdotal evidence. Already we're recruiting people who are very keen, very enthusiastic, can really see the point of this. So I'm aiming to have 12 health literacy champions by April. We've already recruited 4, and we're having a recruitment drive next month in October, which is Health Literacy Month, to really drive this forward. So collecting people's understanding and capturing their enthusiasm somehow, or their stories, particularly a lady, a dietitian who has come on board, who is very, very keen, very enthusiastic, because as she says, if she hasn't checked her patients, her clients' understanding of the health information or the information she's given them, all her wealth of experience and wisdom and knowledge is meaningless. So that's the way she looks at it, and just capturing her enthusiasm and her encouragement, really, of this project is quite precious, really. It's quite important to capture those little gems of enthusiasm from the people who are at the front line, you know, working with the patients who we're all here for, really. So it's just capturing those bits. But as far as capturing patients' understanding or their knowledge, I haven't got to that point at which I don't know how to do that. But I think probably the experience of the clinical members of staff will be able to work with that, I think.
Yeah, thank you. And I appreciate, for all these things, you start off, don't you, with those stories, that feedback, that anecdotal pieces of information, and then it's how that builds up and develops to show improvement and ultimately impact. And when you were talking about your dietitian, it did remind me that I once shared a house with someone who had recently been diagnosed with diabetes, and this person had been told that they needed to eat meat and vegetables in their daily meals, and this person had translated that into pie and chips, which clearly is quite carbohydrate heavy if you're a diabetic. So something about, you know, the dietitian you're talking to, recognising that all their wealth and experience and knowledge is absolutely key and great, but sometimes messages aren't necessarily translated across to the patient, and it could just be the patient is nervous and doesn't take everything on board, or just misunderstands what is said.
Yes, yeah.
And I know you've got plans to do some of those techniques around teach back or chunk and check as you move forwards. Yes, those were the tools, as you say. We were
we were equipped with that we'll be passing on to our colleagues, because they really do cement that understanding and that knowledge of what they've been told or offered. So yes, yeah.
Mm. Thank you. And I do appreciate you being here and describing something when you're halfway through this improvement cycle. And, you know, I look forward to seeing the work that you're going to continue to do on this before we have the outcome framework submission in 2020. But just before we end, I do think this is, you know, an excellent initiative that you took around health literacy, you know, realising you're not part of a big library and knowledge services team, and working out how you could deliver this in the best way, and to create those health literacy champions and to involve all the people that you've described to deliver on this, I just think is really good. And I look forward to hearing more when you get your 12 champions in place, and you know how this work, they can reach more people than you could, you know, probably do on your own. And as you've said, this is a great improvement idea that benefits patients, and ultimately why we're all here working in the NHS. So, just to conclude, thank you again, Morag, for sharing this idea with us. On the screen you can see my name and Morag's name, and you can contact us if you want to know more. But a great idea of creating health literacy champions that many of us could do in our workplace. So thank you.
Thank you.